Joining me now to break it all down is former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, a big Bernie Sanders supporter who has been criticism of some aspects of Democratic Party leadership in Washington. And we're back joined with David Corn again. Nina, your thoughts on all this?
Well, Ari, some of that's true. I mean, we may have won the popular vote, but we didn't win the power. And those are two different things, and they're very important because in order to push your ideas, you definitely have to win the power. But I do appreciate the fact that some Democratic leaders and some folks who advise Democrats are saying, stop having the pity party. It's time to stop it. He won. He got the Electoral College votes, and it's time for us to move towards action. That is most important if we're ever going to change the situation starting next year, but leading into 2018, 2019, 2020, and beyond.
Right. I mean, there's two pieces to this. One is that tone does matter, and when you only talk about the idea that FBI or Russia was unfair, which may be important things to get into, but when you only talk about that, it can feel like, wow, you must have gotten blown out. When many people, Nina, as you know, have said, you see this online, I've seen it in other forums, hey, if Donald Trump got 2.8 million votes, don't you think he'd have a different message right now, even if he lost the Electoral College?
Absolutely, and it comes down to whining. You know, there's no crying in baseball, there's no crying in politics. We have to really figure out why we lost, how we lost, and what we're going to do moving forward. And that's why initiatives like the New Georgia Project, led by leader Stacey Abrams, is one example of what we can do. Because I believe that we have a persuasion problem. We try to persuade ideological voters instead of trying to persuade people who don't vote why voting matters and why the Democratic Party is the right party. So in battleground states like Ohio, we have robust registration. We have a cultivation problem. And in states like Georgia and other states in the South and Southwest, we have a registration and cultivation problem. So we have to analyze. We really do need an autopsy of our own, one that we follow, and to be steadfast in our efforts instead of always being seduced by the shiny object, which is the presidency. Meanwhile, we've lost over 900 legislative seats from 2010 to now.
Wow. I mean, that's a damning statistic you just raised for the party. David, take a listen to President Obama talking about recruitment.
What I am interested in is just developing a whole new generation of talent and making sure that whatever resources, credibility, spotlight that I can bring to help them rise up. That's something that I think I can do well. I think Michelle can do well.
Is it hard to do that, though, David, when all of the congressional leadership of this party is quite established, is the nicest way to put it?
That's one way to put it. I think the Democrats are really in a all of the above period. You know, they need to work on issues, messaging. They need to recruit some voters who, you know, have bounced back and forth between Obama and Trump. They need to get out more of their base. And I do think what Nina has said a moment ago is really a key thing here for the long-term prospects. They need to start winning local races at the state legislative level, and they need whoever, you know, runs the DNC next and runs all the independent groups and outside groups that are allied with the DNC need to start thinking about how to build this infrastructure that does recruit candidates, that does, you know, the nuts and bolt work of turning state legislatures towards the Democratic side of the aisle, because remember, there's another census coming out in 2020, and after that there'll be redistricting again. And if the Republicans continue to control redistricting as they have recently, they can continue to control gerrymandering and give themselves this built-in structural advantage that is anti-democratic but allows them to maintain control of the House.
Nina, final thought.
Well, amen to what David said. I mean, we just have to stop. I mean, your point, Ari, about all of the variables, whether it's Russia, whether it's the Comey, all of those variables may be there. But the bottom line is that Democrats lost, and the 2016 election was really just the straw that broke the camel's back. And we got to go backwards a little bit to analyze what happened in 2010, what happened in 2014, what happened in this year's election, and really get to the root of this matter so that we are connecting with the voters who really need to know from their gut that the Democratic Party, not just in words, but also in deeds, is the party to take this country to the next level, is the party that really cares about the working poor and the middle class in this country, is the country that's going to stand up to big money interests. And we can't only say that when we need people to come out to vote. And that is really, this election cycle was a change election. It was anti-establishment, and Democrats didn't want to hear that, but I'm hoping they're hearing it now.
Well, I'm hearing you. Nina Turner, always a pleasure to talk with you. David Corn, thanks for being here.
Sure thing.
Now, still ahead, that Europe-wide manhunt for the suspect in the horrific attack on a Christmas market in Berlin. We have a brief update on that, and then we'll turn to questions lingering about the CIA's intelligence assessment and the leaks to the press about the Russia hack. Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Glenn Greenwald is here.